Hi, everyone. Hi. Welcome to our first workshop. Hi, Sarah Marie. We just talked. William, thank you so much for your donation. I didn't even know that the super chat is working here. So thank you so much. But this is what we're going to do. I am launching the next boot camp in a couple of weeks. And I decided before I do that, I want to give you some free workshops so you can finally understand what I always talk about when I say have create an epic launch free resources as I can in here. And in the normal videos, it's not really possible because they're aimed at a specific topic and we don't really go into depth, right? We don't really talk about what this epic life really entails and why I'm such a fan of it and why I believe we all get to live it. So just so you know, the workshops, as I said, they're happening here today, tomorrow, same time, and then next week, Friday and Saturday. And if you want, you can download the free poster to get some more insights, but we're gonna get into that tomorrow a little bit more. So today, and remember, you can always ask your questions. I'll get to them definitely. But today I want to talk about what an epic life is on your terms, like from my perspective and how I teach it and how you can start living it today. So a couple of years ago, before I started this channel and the entire way of me changing my life, I was at a point where I felt no matter how much more money I make, no matter what kind of job I take on, why get better friends, why change anything, why fight for anything, I'm still gonna feel the same, which is that my life is just numbed out. There's nothing exciting going on. And I didn't feel it was possible to feel any different. Hi, Linda. Hi there. I didn't believe that it was possible to feel any different. And I talked to so many INFJs and it's stood and we feel so lonely when in the end, one of the main reasons why we feel so lonely is because we don't connect through our core. We don't connect through who we really want. And so, for example, a lot of marketing strategies say, oh, okay, you have to tell people how they're going to have value through your teachings in a monetary way, how they're going to make more money with this, or they're going to save money, or they're going to do whatever they people say. But what I teach and what I want you to, what I want to share with you, and this is what my entire channel is about, and that's what I want to bring into the world, is something so much deeper. Because all of those things, they don't mean anything if you don't feel any joy about it. If you don't feel like I'm living out my purpose, if you don't feel like I'm excited about life, if you don't feel like I can't wait for tomorrow to take on the next step, all of these things are priceless to me. And I know they are priceless for so many of you as well. And if you feel like right now it's not possible for me to be this way or for me to live this life, let me tell you, it's possible. I've seen it not only with myself, but with so many of my clients, with the people of the first bootcamp we went through. And I try to help you as much as I can here already, right? So let me get this clear. We are living in a box. This box has happened in a lot of ways because of circumstances that have happened in the past that have made us feel like we have to play by certain roles. Most of us, and I think you could also write in the comments if you see it the same way, give me a thumbs up or yeah, me too. We kind of play the supporting role of the people in our life. We know for us ourselves, in a way, we are the main character, but it's more like, okay, how can I add value to that person? When I'm with that person, I'm this one version of me. When I'm with that other person, I'm that other version of me. Yeah, Tobias knows what I'm talking about. Yeah, so we keep doing this. And it has, of course, there's this core of us which wants to help. And then a lot of us have that because our introvert intuition is so strong, because we have those feelings, because we value helping other people, understanding themselves. We have such a great understanding of how people feel, how people think, what's going on in their mind and their pain, and we want to make it better. So I don't want you to feel bad about it. I don't want you to feel in any kind of way that there's something wrong of you wanting to help. And on top of everything, most of you have the capacity to do that. Most of you, if you think about the people that you've helped in the past, you've been able to help them because you do understand them so well. Yes, like Milliam says, this is an attempt for harmony. Yes, in a lot of ways, harmony, but it's also like, in a lot of ways, this would have been the second point to me. It's harmony, but it's also this wish to create like a better world. Like, I really believe that at our core, like, if we didn't have all that distraction from our outside world, hi, Aniko. If we didn't have all that distraction from the outside world, we're all connected. We all one. And I believe the more we go into an I mode, we are aware of it. We know that we're one, and therefore we want to help other people. We want to, like, make the world a better place. And there's so many ways we can do that. And in the end, no matter what you do, that's how you create abundance, right? Some people want to do it by doing something great for the environment. Other people want to, like, help people by doing something very practical. It's not just an INFJ thing. But like, there's so many stories and so much things going on that keep us from understanding this. So, but then we get to the situation of, hi Sebastian, hi Braxton. Sebastian says, yes, so many of my friends turn to advice and encouragement. Hi Brian. So guys, I see you all, but like, people do that. But here comes the twist. Here comes the problem in all of this. We do this at the expense of our own well-being. It's like, we want to make it as easy on other people as possible, but we ourselves, we have to like suffer the most because we can take it, right? We are so strong. And this is what most INFJs really have in common. There's like this strength of character. Like when you say like ESTPs have like such a strength in kinesthetics, like they could probably stand nights, day and outside, and they could take it. We can take emotional pain. We can take emotional strain on ourselves, right? All of these things are happening. And so that is one of the reasons why we feel, because we can, this is what we have to do, right? We feel like it's so much harder for other people. That's why, I have to do this in order to make them feel better. The problem with all of this is that we take ourselves out of the equation. It's like the world is out here and I'm from the outside looking in. Like so many, like this is like a typical thing INFJ say. We created this worldview. I don't see my world this way anymore. I don't look outside. I don't look from the outside in, because it's not anymore that the world is out there. And I'm not telling you become part of the world, become part of how everybody is. What I'm saying is invite people into your world. Bigger. And this is what the epic life is all about. And it's like, if you start the process, it's not as bad as it sounds. It's not like, okay, so I'm gonna like other things. It's completely the opposite. It's actually a very humble experience. It's more like, I want to add to the world. And the way I add to the world is by making my world bigger. I share my truth and I don't hide it anymore. All of those aspects that we keep on hiding because we feel I'm a slow learner, or like if I tell my truth, people will not understand it. Like they're not there yet, whatever it is. Yes, in a lot of cases, if you step out of the norm and you start creating this world for yourself, you will see that most people won't be able to understand it. You do step out into something that is extraordinary. But if you wouldn't feel like this would be a possibility for you, like if it wasn't a possibility for you, you wouldn't grasp it. Like our mind is smart enough to protect us. Our mind is kind enough to protect us. If we don't feel that we have the capacity for that, like on a subconscious level, we wouldn't be aware of it. So if you feel like something is missing, I'm not tapping into my passion for life, then it's because we're not. Like you wouldn't have those feelings if this wasn't possible. And like, there are a lot of things when you start talking about, I've lived it, I see it over and over again, and I'm completely convinced that every single one of us can feel this way. And when you feel this way, you you just like everything changes from one day to the other. You start feeling like you have excess energy to give, and you don't give it at the expense of your own well-being ever. You don't say, I neglect who I am. I don't neglect my beliefs. And you like everything really changes. And I want to give you, of course, like there's one thing to kind of like just say it, and then there's a way how to approach it. And we're gonna talk about in the next workshops how to approach it step by step. Because it is hard in the beginning, and if you don't have like this one-on-one coaching experience, there's a lot I can give you that will help you go in that direction, right? But today specifically, I want to evoke in you the I want to plant that seed in you that this is not only possible, it is a reality that you can start living today that is just as reasonable, just as plausible as as any other reality you could think of. You could have that reality where you keep on working at your job that you don't like, where people don't understand you, where you feel like you have to pretend to be something, or you can change from the inside out. And that's the whole thing with what I said. I'll read all your messages like in a minute. I promise you. Just don't like I just can't do it like right now. That's why I said, if you feel like my life isn't going to change if I have another job, so why go for the better job? Why make more money? So keep on doing things I don't love, not really adding value. And a lot of us feel like, okay, why should I do something where I feel like, okay, I'm adding to something that I don't believe in. I don't feel like this is making the world better. And in a lot of ways, you can combine them. Like when I started doing this, for example, for me, doing the channel was a way of giving back. That was me expressing myself and what I had to give. And on the side, I had a job that financed me, that gave me the opportunity to do that, that gave me the freedom to do that. So in a lot of ways, you can have a situation like this and feel amazing for a while before you say, okay, now I'm ready for the next step. Because we as human beings, we're made for growth. That's plants grow, trees grow. We all it's just human nature that we want to expand. And we, in our, specifically for INFJs, the expanding comes from, I want to expand my mind. I want to see what I can create with my thoughts, what I can envision and then bring to reality. Because since your NI is so strong and SE is the weakest function, the biggest joy comes from saying, okay, I have this vision and I'm going to make this vision a reality. And the fact that I'm able to make this thought of mine something concrete, that process, that step, that everything that you do in order to do that, that's what makes you feel so great. So when you're, let's say, with another person and you see oh, they have such a great life, and it makes you feel alive. And that's why you get obsessed over that person, or you have that one situation like that. Sometimes it's just seconds. Remember, the only reason why you see that is it because it's part of you. If you wouldn't have this kind of emotion, and if you wouldn't be able to create that emotion by yourself without having that one person or that one situation, you wouldn't be able to grasp it. Everybody in our life is just a reflection of what's going on, independent of any person, of any circumstance, of anything, right? It's a feeling that you start expressing, and then it just comes back. It's this is what I have to share. This is what I have to give. And I'm doing this not because I'm expecting something back. I'm doing this because there was so much codependency in those relationships because it wasn't a healthy outlet, because of course we want that person to give us then the feedback. Yes, you are a good person, or whatever it is, because we're not giving it to ourselves. We start giving it to ourselves the moment we say, I actually don't need that validation. I don't need that person to think I'm a good person. I don't need that person to think I'm productive. They can think I'm a total idiot and completely bad at whatever I do, but I know why I'm doing this for. And that's how you start giving. And then it just it's a natural flow. And my goal with those workshops, and we're not going to make them too long because I want you to get the biggest impact. And we're going to start with the questions and everything now. To today, just to grasp this this process, and that this is a possibility, and that this is completely possible. And I would love to know from you what kind of questions you have about all of this. So if you have, if you feel like, okay, I feel completely lost, and how is that, like, how is that a possibility for me? Today, we want to open eyes. I want you to be aware that this is a complete possibility for you. You can live that life where you feel excited about every single day, all the time. In the beginning, yes, okay, I had, let's say, a good day and a bad day. Then 2 days later, it was like two good days and one bad day. And then it got more and more and more. And now, yes, I have, of course, days where I feel like, okay, I don't feel like doing anything, but there's never a moment where I felt as lost as I felt back then. So I'll start reading your questions now. Hopefully, I'll get some of them. I don't think I can get all of them, but let me know what kind of questions you have towards that. Hi, Anushka. Hi, love from India. Anthony says totally agree on suffering. How can we know that it's not just a mask for us to get attention, love from others? What do you mean, Ravda, specifically? How can we know that it's not just a mask for us to get attention, love from others? It is like when we're in that first place where I feel like no matter what I do, um, it's not going to make me feel any different. It's a mask. So if you do and say, okay, I'm going to get a better job, for example, because then people are going to think I'm more established. If that's the motivation behind it, then you're still wearing that mask, right? It's actually about stripping old stories off over and over again. Like I talked with Sarah Marie just like a while ago. We talked about this. It's in a lot of ways you just say goodbye to those restrictions. You have some kind of stories that you keep telling yourselves, and in a lot of ways it's an ego loss. You have this image that you feel you have to live by, and that can be, I'm always giving, like, holding up the other cheek. I'm the one who can take so much. I'm the one who can sustain and who has to make it happen no matter what. Like, we have this image of who we have to be in order to be like liked, appreciated. Let's not be that naive to think that we don't have that, because I used to be like this. I used to think like, yeah, no, I'm just above it. But still, I was, trying to convince people that I'm a good person over and over again when they kept on pushing me and emotionally kicking me or whatever it is. So, and the moment you say, I cannot live up to this expectation, it's an ego loss. It's like, I cannot do this. So it goes hand in hand. Like on the one hand, it's like giving up that ego, and ego not in like, because ego can be a positive thing. I think it's important for us to put ourselves first, to care about how we can give to ourselves, how we want to be seen, how to feel like, have all of this, because that is the moment when you feel like I can keep on giving. I don't need that constant validation. I do this because I fill myself up and I have even more to give. And I tell you again, it's completely possible. It's not like a fairy tale. I believe, let's say in 30, 40 years, probably all people will be living by this and see this. We get away more and more away from this like game of this is how it has to be. And those are the rules to play by, as in, okay, have a high paying job, have that house with the 2.5 kids and all of that, or whatever that you feel your society wants of you. If you are since I've been in this like free agency world, so to say, and I'm so into personal development and into living an individualistic life, and in a lot of ways I'm somebody who stepped out of like normal society, I see all around me how much this is going on. Like, this is not just me. This is not just one person. Like, there's nothing holding us back anymore. And that doesn't mean that you can't even like keep on working or anything like this. It's just like the way you see reality can be completely different. And you can, in that, have many connections, feel like you're really connecting with people on an emotional and honest level. Like, it goes to the core and it gives you a fulfillment like nothing else will. And that's what makes you motivated to get up and do even more, because it's like when you were a child and things were good, and bring this all out in us. It just takes accountability, it takes some practice, it takes some, it takes some, like, the how do I say, it takes strength, right? It's not like everybody can do it. It takes mental strength, but we do have that strength. That strength is necessary in order to say no to the safe solution, which would be, I play by society's rules, I play by everything that I have learned to play. But you've done it so far, has it made you happy? Probably not. So let's use that mental strength to stay alone, but not in a way of, okay, I'm just gonna isolate myself. I'm not even gonna, like, talk to anybody, because that is complete loneliness, right? How, like, in order to feel not lonely, we have to connect with people through that core of us. We have to step out, and we have to be the ones who start. So I'm just gonna completely isolate myself. Well, in that way, you're not expanding. And in that way, you're always going to feel like you don't have enough energy. Because in order to feel like you're having more and more energy, and you get excited, because the way you get excited is because you have excess energy to give. And the way this happens is by we always talk about, you have a cup of water, that's your energy. And then you give to yourself, and that cup's overflowing. And then you start giving. And every time you start giving from that like core, that you don't want anything, you don't need anything back. It's just like, I want my world is not just me. It's like, everything, like the world, I see it how I see it, my worldview, my epic life on my terms. Can't give that back if you don't connect, if you don't share, if you don't step out and do something. And it can be like on an, it doesn't mean like you have to have like a big following or anything like this. It can be just like how you show up in the world. But once you start doing this, once you start connecting, yes, the people who wouldn't understand you, that will go away, but you wouldn't have any capacity for them anyway. You wouldn't want to hang out with them. Like, there's so often when we feel, okay, nobody understands us, but we don't grasp the fact that we are consciously choosing people around us who don't understand us. Like, how many people do you really know? Right? We have like this certain amount of people that we know, and we automatically believe that's how the world is. I believe the world is great and everybody's nice and kind because these are the people that are around me. So before, I had a different like understanding. The reality is, of course, you have people are all different and stuff like this. But the way you see the world, that's the kind of people that are in your life, and that's how you create even more abundance. And I believe we all have gifts, and this gift is like really your way of showing up in the world. And yeah, I want to help you to tap into that, to understand how to feel that, how to wake up and to get excited about life. Because like, everything like people talk about, oh, you should, want family, you want kids, you want money, you want success. None of these things matter if you don't have any emotions attached to it that are positive. If you don't feel like that you have a purpose. At least that's how it is for us INFJs and drive. For us, it's not like that. And I also want to say that does not mean that if you say, okay, well, I'm choosing the path of, I can show you people on each level that are doing that. You can see people who love their life and they're minimalists, and I can show you people who live by the same values, who are millionaires and they love to give and they create abundance in the world. And there are people who have absolutely no, with everything. People who love to travel, other people who love to stay at home. It's all about you. What do you want? What makes you happy? What creates like abundance for you? And in a lot of ways, when you say, I'm doing things in order to give, and let's say you would say, okay, I don't care about money. But let's say if you would care about money and you would get it in a way where you can still create abundance for you and for others, that money can help you to give it to charities. You can invest in your message. You can share your message even more. So it doesn't have to be that if you believe in doing something, like kind for the environment or anything like this, that's why you have to give up. like that whole pursuit, because it's all just abundance. It's just abundance, and we have to learn that it's okay for us to take the responsibility of creating that abundance. That we are going to be responsible, successful people in any kind of capacity that we want, when it's about like our message. And in a lot of ways, it's going to be a little bit out there. It's not like this typical thing. It will take a while. Like I talked about it in the video, slow learners, like our INFJ slow learners, that we have an exponential curve. So that means like what we bring to the table is probably not the thing that looks like, oh, everybody gets it right away. But that does not mean that if you don't stick with it, that it can't be like this transformational thing, right? It can be, that you're artist, the musician, that you just touch people in a very particular way. It can be that you share your message. It can be no matter how you show up in the world. But this is my main message I want to get across from here. You can have this. And this is not like so far out. It really isn't. It really isn't. And you watching this, you watching the videos, staying on the watching the workshops, having the accountability that you see that's something that resonates with me is a great first step. So as long as you know that this is possible, then yeah, maybe your doubts will come up. But then you can bring yourself back to this. And in a lot of ways, it helps to do it from a rational point of, okay, well, I'm going to die. My life will not have a meaning. So why care? Like, why should I? Like, my life doesn't matter. So that's how I was before. And then I said, okay, that's one way of looking at it. But I'm not going to hurt myself. So what does that realization help me? And then I could have another worldview, which is, actually my life does matter. I give my life meaning, and I give my life meaning by helping people around me, because I can make meaning for me and for my family, for you guys, like for whoever I choose. And so when I was at that point and I wasn't sure what direction to go, it was more of a rational thing to say, well, I have nothing to lose to start manipulating myself into this direction. If I believe this and this makes me feel good, how can this be bad? Right? Because this direction where I thought my life doesn't matter is not leading me anywhere. I already been like way down there. I already felt like shit. I already felt horrible and like didn't feel like I mattered. I felt like I have a black soul, that I wasn't a good person because I couldn't, like I projected all my goodness onto other people. I didn't have any goodness in myself. So, like when you have those doubts of how can I believe this? Remember, it's more of like, use your rational thought in the beginning. Like both could, like I could believe in both. We can both manipulate ourselves. So let's manipulate ourselves into this, because this way I can at least make my life more enjoyable, make the life of other people more enjoyable. And like this in itself, I will make this have meaning. I give it meaning. So this is what I like, as I said, this is my main point I want to get across today. Believe that is possible and keep manipulating yourself actively towards that. Because once you do that, you will see immense change. Because yes, as I said, we can believe both, but this thing doesn't help anybody. So what for? It's not going to lead anywhere. So let's focus on this thing. And then I'm going to show you how you can make this into an area where you do wake up every day and you are excited, where you want to like give, and you don't make any compromises on things that you don't want. Like if people disrespect you, you're just like, stay out of my way, dude. Like not with me. Like you're just so aware of who you are and what you want, and whoever doesn't respect that has no place in your life. And this can happen even in an extent where you're really working for somebody. Like you can play by the rules, you can be respectful, but internally it doesn't bother you. Internally, I'm above this. I know where I'm going. I know why I'm doing this. This is like my in-between step, or this is helping me finance my dreams, whatever it is, but it doesn't make you feel like you have to fall in line with something that you don't believe in. Okay, let me just go over a couple more questions if I can see some. We are loved ones, guardians, emotion take a toll. We try to alter our perceptions to flow with the norm. Yes, completely understand it, Anthony. That's what I'm saying. You need you need mental strength to get away from that. It takes energy. Like, when you have a plane, most of its fuel is used for starting. So it takes that energy. You just like, you kind of like let go of so many of those expectations. Like, all of our energy in the beginning goes like, I need to be that person. No matter how much we like to be individualists, there's a part of us that tries to play by the rules that we have set up in our mind. It's not that you say, okay, that's how society wants me to be, because a lot of us feel like we're not like this. But there's a part of us that believes we have to be a certain way. And when you say, I'm going to stop playing by those rules, in order to have that energy, you have to let all of that go, because you won't have the energy to do both. That's like the ego loss. That's when all of this happens. And that's when you start a new realm. And from that moment on, it's all with peace. It's all with serenity. It's all with personal conviction. And it's with your own truth. And then absolutely everything that you keep on building, you do while not budging on those things. Like, there's a part of you that's just never ever going to be up for debate again. And you see that all that mental strength that you used in order to play that role. Remember, it's not a role necessarily what you think society wants of you. It's that role that you think you have to play, as in, caring more about others than yourself. Being always kind when it actually, like, even people who don't want your help or who keep neglecting you, believing that other people are better than you. All of those things, like that's the image. And it takes a lot of it takes a lot of strength to play it. Takes a lot of strength to try to make that happen. So that kind of energy, once you give all of that up, you have that energy to put into yourself. And we have a lot of strength. And if we use it correctly, and we use it not to survive, but we use it to thrive, amazing things will happen. And as I said, we'll talk tomorrow a bit how to start that process actively. Because in the beginning, it takes like a little bit of, let's open up a couple of things. Like, we have to kind of like open up the water drain or anything like this. Like, in the beginning, you have to open it a little bit before like the flow can come and your energy, and you can be in the flow. So that's what we're going to talk about today. But as I said today, most importantly, you can live that epic life. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. And you don't need to share it with anybody. Like, people who don't believe this, who have their own doubts, they will pull you down with them. And not because they're bad people. It's just because those are their own self-doubts, and they sort of want to protect you. So, like, share your thoughts and be with people who are already where you want to be. Who inspire you to be somewhere, like, or you see they're in a direction where you want to be. Okay. One says people are drama. Yeah. Like, why? Why do you have to like look at it this way? We could also see it in a way of people are wonderful. And so the people that are in my life are wonderful, because the people who are drama, I don't know anybody who's drama in my life. I don't. When we feel like people are drama, that means that on some level we believe that this is what we deserve. So these are the people we allow in our life. I used to have so many people with drama in my life. And then I said, no, I deserve to have just peaceful and serene people in my life. And since then, I don't have any drama in my life. Right? Like, it's just like, cut those people out. You'll see when you cut people out like this, you will have that energy. It will go somewhere else. It will go to the peaceful places. Those people exist. I mean, like over here, William, you see, we're not drama. We're all kind. We're all helpful. And this is not the exception. Like, once you're in this world and this is the only way I will live, these are the only people you allow into your life. It's like an energy match, so to say. It's not just like some esoteric thing. It just naturally happens. It's like, that that's just some kind of like the rules and the laws of the universe. We have to understand that we attract what we are. And as I said, it doesn't have to be like from an energy standpoint or some esoteric thing. It's just, if I believe I deserve drama, and like a lot of, like, before, I used to always like put myself in situations that were not secure, that always got me into shameful situations. And then, like, I know nowadays, why did I do those things? Like, why did I put myself at risk to feel shame? And I did that because on some level, I felt like I had to relive that shame, right? So now I know I don't need to relive that shame, so I don't. Um, and he says, I reject logic totally. I follow my NI. That's why my learning is slow. It's like I know the right answer, but how can it be? I won't accept it. You gotta explain it a little bit more to me. That's another thing. Like our NI, we have to be open that our NI makes mistakes, and it's not just our NI. It's just if I have like this rule in my head that I need to help people at any cost, for example, or that people are kinder than you know than I am, or they deserve more help. That's a rule I have. So no matter what kind of NI, like even if your NI is amazing, this is the rules you have. So this is your TI. It will make wrong conclusions. It will make wrong conclusions. I've done that. We all like the way to make our NI and mainly our TI stronger, because it's not our NI that makes those rationalizations or that builds that system. NI is the perceiving function. It's our TI that gives this whole thing meaning and says, oh, that's how I perceive it. Or the person we say, oh, I know exactly how that person is. To feel we have an understanding of who that person exactly is because we absorb so much, that's a TI thing. And our TI makes mistakes, which is completely normal. So we have to be okay with that, because otherwise you would be right every single time. And I know if we would be right every single time, we would be completely happy. But it happens that we feel like, why doesn't this person understand that I'm trying to help them? Why don't people understand my ideas? The list goes on and on. The reasons why we feel this way is because there's something in our TI that we're not willing to correct. And that's because of that permission to do this. Thanks for you and my whole personality. Thanks to you, my whole personality has changed because of this. I opened up completely amazing. Yeah, just like, okay, hold on, guys. I'm here. I just like, it's just too many messages. It's not my intention to like overgo you. It's just like too much right now. I lost where I'm at. Here, Braxton says, like, okay, I have to comment on my channel if you want new friends. So, like, this is like, I love this community. I love this community, and you'll see, like, for example, for the ones of you who will decide to go for the bootcamp, we also have like a private Facebook group where we have daily engagement posts. Because I believe we need the accountability, we need to help each other, but like hopefully we have that here. Okay, I'll just pick like random ones. Lisa, how can we develop our NI so we know the exact direction to take when we're getting away from society's rules? It's not necessarily NI. Your NI pops up. Like your NI is our NI is probably the thing that just absorbs everything. It's actually where we have to put ourselves so we get new information, right? So if I'm always in the same environment, I cannot feed my NI. But if I get into new environments, I will be able to get new information and then make more qualified decisions based on the new information. To get back to your question, that's why I work with the 5 pillars to an epic life. Because like in the beginning, you don't know where to start, but there's certain things we do know for sure. We do know we need a vocation. So we do need to have a purpose. We do know that it's important to have healthy relationships in our life. We do know that we need to work on our physical energy management, as in make sure that you do have enough energy to do all of this. It's important to look at your wealth management, because and this is what a lot of INFJs do, it's like, I only care about my purpose. I don't care about money and so on. But if you're in a position where you don't have any money, that's the moment you care most about money. That's when this is actually a problem. So if you make sure that you're in a healthy space, it opens up new possibilities. You see that you can have a better life. So what we do is we actually work on, and of course, like priority management is also a place to see like, okay, what do I do in my life that's actually already good, but I don't prioritize it enough? And like all of these aspects. And when you make like first steps in all of those 5 categories, you open up, like, it just kind of like opens up your understanding of, okay, what's the next step for me? because those things we all know are good for us. And you can define for yourself what is vocation. I'm not saying, okay, everybody of you starts writing a book now. That's your vocation. No, it's about, let's untackle what is vocation. How can you start doing the step today? How can you start like with the physical energy management? How can you work on improving your sleep? How can you work on meditating in a way that is good for you? How can you declutter? Like all of those things, like with every single step you take in those aspects, you see like, oh, okay, I actually get closer to where I want to be. And because of that, I kind of have new information. And with that new information, you get to create even like the next vision of where you want to go. We start getting goals, and that's when you get excited about life. And that's when we get to overcome that that ego, because that ego doesn't play by those rules. That ego is something that you feel like, you do so other people think like you're doing okay. But no matter what they feel, like it looks good on paper, but does that make you feel good? So I know we as INFJs, we need that vocation part very strongly. And sometimes we're not there yet. Like some people say, I work with a couple of clients that said, I first have to take care of my wealth management. I need to know that I'm okay, like that I don't have to worry about like that aspect. And then I'm going to look into vocation. That's great. But at some point, you always go back to that. We need to have a purpose, like something that drives us. And this is what's gonna keep us going. Okay, William says, I'm looking for Braxton Mills digital address. Oh, okay, you found yourselves. Yeah, William. So William, Braxton, like meet each other. I think you'll hit it off. I think that will be a good one. I've talked with both of you more than once. Okay. Chill, yo. He sent me 2 messages. Who sent you 2 messages? Like what? Oh, you mean like, okay, guys, all kindness here, right? I don't know what you're all talking about. Is there any tips you have for figuring out what is different between selfishness and self-love? Yes, yes, I can give you that quite easily, and maybe this is the one. Yeah, maybe like I do like one more question. We'll see. Okay, so how do you know what is selfish and what is self-love? Well, you feel like okay, it's not that easy. I get that. But questions of if I would be, let's say, an adult, and I would see my inner child next to me, I would have, I would have a picture of like him or her, and I would have him like, just to remind me. And so I would say, well, there's this action I would want to do, and it will make her or him feel good in that moment. And then it's always the question, it has to come from a place where I first do things for my inner child before I do anything for anybody else, right? So let's say, we had an example today where somebody asked me, okay, so there's this job I'm applying to, and there's this other person who's applying for that job. And I feel like maybe I don't want that job so much. So wouldn't I give them the opportunity to do that? Or would it be that I don't know how long I want to stay here, or they are maybe more qualified. I would feel kind of bad getting that job when, they maybe need it more. I don't know, or they would want it more, and so on. That decision is not on you. That is not selfish behavior to fight for yourself. In the end, the person who makes the decision is, let's say, the employer who picks, and they don't pick based on who's most qualified or who's this. They have their own rules. They do whatever they want, right? You fighting for yourself should never be considered selfish, because like it's always like that person should fight for themselves first. You should fight for yourself first, because only when you are fighting for yourself first, you can do even more for others. Like you might, like I understand this problem where it comes from, but believe me, as long as you feel good and that you're taking care of yourself, you can act that much more selflessly. Otherwise, you might feel like, okay, but I'm doing this to help them. And we completely understand how much codependency goes into that, because our cup is not full. When you feel like you have more than enough, like, and you feel like overflowing, and then that it's so even okay. It's like it should never be at your own expense. And remember, you fighting for yourself, you not dimming your life, you're not taking anything away from anybody. Like that's the abundance mindset of there's enough for everybody. this job will go to the person who's best for the job. And it might be me and it might be them, but I'm not going to make myself worse than I am just so they have a better shot. Because that's like, what are you doing there? People don't learn from what you say, people learn from what you do. And what you're actually showing them is it's okay to make yourself small for others. Like, it's okay for you to neglect yourself. That's what your colleague in that situation learns. But when they see, yes, I fight for myself, they will feel okay with fighting for themselves as well, and say, let the best one win. You can, like, do it in a positive manner, but understand that this is the basis. So every single time, if you have to dim your light, if you have to make yourself smaller in order to feel like you're not being selfish, that's pretty much like you not being, like, doing self-love. And it's always, selfish is like, selfish, it always comes from a point of, I don't want to give anything to anybody else, right? But giving yourself enough that you feel like, oh, I have more than enough. Like, when I talk to you guys now, I have more enough to give. I give you my energy. I give you my knowledge. Like, before, I didn't even want to share what I thought, because it's like, okay, this is the only thing I have, like my advantage of knowing certain things. Now that I take care of myself and I, like, fight for myself and I have a good life, I give that much more freely. So don't ever feel like you have to neglect that. And I know it's hard, but it's practice. You do this a couple of times. At some point, you don't feel like you're a selfish person. And I don't see people telling me I'm selfish now. I actually see that before much more often, when I thought I was doing, I was neglecting myself, because of course there were selfish acts involved. Because at some point, if you give when you don't have enough, there's always some underlying expectation. Okay, I help you, but on some level, I want you to recognize that I'm your savior. That kind of thing. Okay. Okay, like, just a couple more. Like, Tobias says, the biggest problem I can see is figuring out what we want to do with ours. We're going to talk about a little bit about, like, how you can start doing this. So this is also something you can do, like, without, like, starting with the bootcamp. This is just perfectly fine. You figure out what you don't want, you figure out what you do want in all of those aspects. So okay, what is the next step I want to take in my physical energy? And what kind of relationships do I want? Like, some of us are not at a point yet where we feel like, oh, okay, now I want to get into, find a new life partner or something like this, but I want to have better relationship with my parents. Let's say, okay, what kind of wealth management do I, like, what kind of lifestyle do I want to live? And the most importantly, as I said, vocation for us also, like, that when we go into that, it's more like, okay, we'll talk about vocation, like, next week, but it's more like, okay, on the one side, how do you want to be seen? We work with archetypes, and on the other side, how do you want to serve? So understanding how to find your purpose, or how to find that thing, it's more about saying, I'm going to start fighting for myself, and I'm going to start making little shifts that make my life better than what it is now, that makes me feel like I'm stepping out more into my truth. Because every single time you step more into your truth, you have, like, more insight. That's why I'm saying, you get new information, you're in a new environment, you get a new job, or you get, like, you start giving, or you're more in other environments, you surround yourself with people who see this thing, and this opens up. It, like, plants a seed. Appreciate it. Like, the SE rage, it comes from you thinking, why am I not being heard? Bigger in that mass. You don't look at the people who don't believe in it. You look at the people who do, and you join them, and you contribute to that. Like, you become part of the solution. So every time we have rage, remember, there's always a part of us that we're neglecting in ourselves. Braxton, what are you doing? Like, here you said, like, people are spamming. Like, don't do anything. Like, what's happening? Okay, guys, so first off, we're all kind. Don't spam anybody. Braxton, like, we all know, like, this is, like, I know Braxton is a great guy. Don't get, like, confused. Don't like, but just stay kind to everybody. And we're all trying to be helpful here. Okay, just like I love Miss Anna UK. I love my job, and if my focus is on work, I have difficulty to take my focus off it. My mind naturally would just go deeper into the details, and then I find getting lost in it. Any advice? Why is that a problem? what is missing in that? Like, if you love your job, what is missing? Like, if you feel like there's something I neglect because of my job, then this is what we should look like instead. How can we add this to your life? But in the end, like, I get lost in my job. My job is part of, like, I don't have like days that I work and I don't work. It's just part of who I am. This is like my vocation. It's my passion. It's what I do. So Joe Brooks says there are 3.25 million people that are INFJs. Okay, Lawrence. Self-love is appreciating yourself and making sure your needs aren't neglected, so you have the energy to do what makes you feel even more fulfilled by being there for people. But you gotta make sure. Yes. Okay. Thank you, thank you, J. Harold, for the like. Okay, learn, like, go to the people who already understand you, and if they're not, then you start sharing a message on a platform. Like, it doesn't have to be like a big YouTube channel, but when I started, I felt like there was nobody like me. Yes, there were YouTube channels, also INFJ YouTube channels, but they were all like, okay, that's how INFJs are, and I'm so misunderstood, and we're all victims and martyrs, and that's how the community was 7 years ago, and it just wasn't what I believed. And even like, so within the INFJ community, it wasn't that people understood everything. There's benefit in that. Here I am, and I'm here to give, and that's how it grew, right? I didn't go to people who didn't understand me. Most of the people don't, but I'm not aware of it. So every single time you feel like people don't understand me, don't hear me, remember, there is a part of us who still believes you need them. Kind of share my thoughts with people that, like, I say it out once. If they're not interested, they're lost. That's the kind of approach you need to have, right? And not try to convince people. People are not going to believe you. Like, it's not. People are going to believe results. Like, you say something, show them, right? But there are people who already get benefit from you saying things, and that's why when it comes to look for forums where people like have the same opinions as you, where you can, like, that's even more like the thing that gives us even more. So William says, so there's no value with isolation. My message so far out there would make me take meds. That's what I'm saying. Who are you talking to? Who are you talking to who would give you meds? Like, seriously, why are you talking to people and people who believe that? Find you, market that more. Try, like, find people, like, be there for people to find you who believe in the same thing. And of course, the independence part is where you create isolation for yourself, where you have to be okay with being by yourself. But don't get stuck there. Don't get stuck there, because the world and the people around you who don't get it, you don't need to be sharing that with them. Like, go to places where people are more open to this, and there are enough communities out there in the world who are open to any kind of thing in that direction, at least more open than your neighbor. So don't talk to people who would think, oh, you would have to take meds. Like, that again is like a thing that we ourselves feel like there's something crazy about me. Everybody would think I'm crazy if I do that. What if you believe that you're completely sane and what you have to say has value and it's worth fighting for it? And I'm going to fight for it. I'm going to go out into the world and I'm going to put it in a place where it's most likely to succeed, where I will be able to move that like, make that movement go forward, right? That's what we got to go at. Okay. Okay, here, again, I was told straight up my message is bad. He called it black science. What does that even mean? Let those people go. Like, specifically if it's your item, like your channel, like, block them, delete. Don't believe in your ideas, let them go. Let them, like, don't let that, that's what I'm saying. Like, you don't look at the people who think like, what are they talking about? Like, you're doing it for the people who do care. You're doing it for the people who do understand, for the people who will get benefit from it. Like, why do you want to share your message? What is the benefit you want from this? You're not doing this just so people say, oh, he's right. You're doing this because you want to bring value. How can you bring this, like, what with the world how it is now, what are the communities where you can share this the most, where people are most open to this, and go there? Yeah, Ayana says, I'm so exhausted from trying to survive. It doesn't have to be like this. I promise you, you don't have to keep on surviving. Okay, guys, yeah, Lady Williams says, I do so much more now. I ask the questions. Okay, Braxton, I don't know what's going on. Just so you know, Braxton is in the boot camp. Braxton is cool. Like, I know him. Like, so whatever's going on, like, hopefully, there, like, I know this is a misunderstanding of, um, yeah, Braxton was, like, as you said, like, Braxton did the first boot camp. I will share a couple of testimonials next time. The good thing about boot camp is, but just quickly, because this is not like today, we're not talking about the boot camp. So, but the boot camp is like, once you're in there, you get access to all future boot camps. You get access to the Facebook group that is going on even when the boot camps are not happening. So yeah, here Harold said, when you said success is not working all the time, it made a huge difference in my life. Thank you. Yes, I don't work all the time, and that's my success. And I make like better income than I did before when I was working a lot. But so I did it because I was willing to do, like, to get the pay cut and to, like, say, okay, my piece is the most important thing to me right now. Okay, guys, as I said, that's why I'm taking the time here, because I want to give you value in the workshops. So we're going to take it step by step, let that resonate, let all the things we talked about, like, just, integrate them a little bit. And then tomorrow at the same time, we continue. Remember, you can watch the reruns as well. And then tomorrow we go a little bit more into that. Okay, have a great day, guys, and I talk to you tomorrow.